WDBFradio.com. 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 I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. Stop fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, good morning to you. I hope that you are enjoying this beautiful day that we're having here in South Florida. I am down in Palm Beach County, and it is just a gorgeous morning. Got to be around 68, close to 70 degrees, a nice, clear, relatively clear sky, some very high clouds up there. Looks like it's going to be another beautiful day here in South Florida, another day to get out there and enjoy the outdoors. Do what it is that makes you happy. My go-to make me happy is fishing. That's why we do the show. So a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. This morning I have with me Pam Worth, one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for inviting me along.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have Pam on. She brings a unique perspective, and she's one of those that literally is at the water's edge, at the water's level, if you will, when she's out there fishing. And in the background, we have Captain Hook. Captain Hook's back there making sure everything is running. Good morning, Captain Hook. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so far so good. Let's roll.
Hey, you know, I was speaking with Pam before we got on the air, and she said something to me that kind of surprised me. Of course, I've been a little bit in the dark regarding weather here lately, but I asked Pam if she had gone fishing, and what was the answer, Pam?
I said, yes, I did. In the Arctic, it seemed like yesterday.
And I said, where were you?
And I said, Tampa. It was 46
Oh, my goodness
degrees.
gracious. And how cold was it?
46 degrees.
It can't be Florida. 46 degrees.
And my friends wanted me out there at 5:30 in the morning, and I went, yeah, no, I can take the heat, but I am a wimp when it comes to the cold. I had 2 performance shirts on, a sweatshirt, and frog togs, and my extra tough boots on, so when I launched, my little tootsies wouldn't get wet. I know.
I have got Florida blood in me. I got to be honest with you. There was a short period of time in my life, about 4 years, that I was in the Air Force, and they sent me to several different places. One of them was Denver, Colorado. At the time, there was a training base there. It was a Lowry Air Base. And, I got there in late March. It was freezing cold. Oh my goodness. And we stayed, and I was there until, just about July, very late June, early July. And believe it or not, in June, we were having snow flurries in Denver, Colorado. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was not experienced with having to live in snow. I have to live in cold weather. Having grown up in southern Florida, I mean, really South Florida, down in Miami, we would rarely get anywhere near cold like that. The youngest I was probably, I think second or third grade. We had a really bad cold spell where there was ice on the road one day. And that was it. For me, it was very painful because my lips get chapped, to the point where they'll bleed. And, I can't seem to get warm no matter what I do. And I remember walking back to, the barracks one day, and one of the training instructors caught up with me, and he saw I was shivering. I had a jacket on, I had a shirt on, and I had pants on. He goes, why don't you layer? I'd never heard of layer. My goodness. And, so that was my first experience, and how to stay warm and to layer clothing when you're in the really cold weather. So I can't do cold weather. That's why I am here in Florida. Thank you, God.
Yes. Yes.
I just can't do it. I tried. I can visit, you know, if I know I'm only going to be there a day or two, I can handle it. But, any more than that, I get an anxiety attack. I don't want to be in that. I don't like being cold. And my goodness, I really don't like being cold and wet. So I could not imagine being out there on the water on 46 degrees. You know, I think of myself as somebody who is not really a diehard fisherman, but, you know, kind of. I mean, I've been times when I had my boat, I took my boat out and people were going, you're crazy, man. I don't think I would have done it. Kudos to you. I think I would have stayed home at 46 degrees.
Well, I waited till it warmed up. I think it was like maybe 50 by the time I launched. I waited for the sun to come up. Usually there's a lot of days I'll launch before the sun's up because I want to hit some spots before all the boaters get out there. But no, I was waiting for the sun.
Oh my goodness. Well, I experienced a fraction of that, I'll say. This last week we had a couple of really nice brisk mornings, but it wasn't anywhere near 46 degrees. But it was enjoyable. It's enjoyable in the sense that you can go out and feel the cold, but then you can come back in and warm up again. And before the day is over, that typically here in Florida, it might start out at 46 degrees in the morning, which isn't very common, but it might start out at 46 degrees. But by the time noon or 1 o'clock rolls around, it's pretty comfortable by then. It's pretty much short sleeve shirt weather at that time. But it's just having to bear with it while it kind of warms up.
It might be.
So anything else that's going on that you want to share with me?
I was going to say it might be short sleeve weather if you're up north or if you're from up north, but I still had the sweatshirt on all day.
Yeah, I'm going to have, Jeff Goldberg is going to be with us today. Jeff is up, I think he's in the New York area, if I'm not mistaken. And he said they just had 8 inches of snow. I sent him a text and said, Jeff, have anything you want to share with us on the Fish Florida show tomorrow? And he says, well, it just snowed 8 inches. I'm outside looking at the sun. It's like, I don't know, 70 some odd degrees. I can't imagine 8 inches of snow. My experience with snow is limited. One of the times that I had a unique experience with snow, I was in Minnesota. I was working with Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. People know them as the 3M company. I was up there for some kind of training, and we were picked up at the airport, a couple of us. And and of course it's always a limo. It's a 3M limo that comes picks us up. And the limo driver's talking to us. He goes, where you guys from? And I'm from South Florida. And he goes, well, it's going to snow tonight. Now, mind you, when he's telling me this, it's like 58 degrees outside. I said, look, I'm from South Florida, but I'm not dumb. It's going to have to get a lot colder than 58 degrees. And he just kind of chuckled and drove on. Didn't say a whole lot more about it. That night it snowed 3 inches. Cars disappeared in the road. All you could see was little lumps. I can't imagine 8 inches of snow. My goodness. So he'll be on a little later. He's going to tell us about, he's excited to go ice fishing again. He wants to get out there, cut through the ice and see what he can get. So, we have those of us who love to fish. The weather outside really is a non-deterrent to them. Unfortunately, I rely on the warmth. I'm a warm kind of guy.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. I'd rather fish in the warm than fish in the cold. I mean,
me. So any tournaments that you know of? I know that we had spoke about something was going to happen here on the East Coast a while back, and I think you said they either canceled it or they postponed it.
On the West Coast, we were going to have a kayak kingfish tournament, but that's when all the tornadoes came through that Friday.
Yeah.
So we canceled it. We're going to err on the side of safety. We'll have it in the spring with the Wild West, associated with the Wild West kingfish tournament in the spring. So that's going to be fun. I've got, in December, I'm headed down to Matlacha, which is Cape Coral. And they have a fundraiser for the Blue Water area that keeps all the kayak paths open. I think there's, 10 miles a pass through there. So it's beautiful. That's a fun tournament. That's like whoever wins, just go out and have a great time.
I'm seeing Cape Coral in my mind, but West Coast or East Coast?
It's on the West Coast. It's kind of between Fort Myers and, Naples.
We have a place here that's called something Coral Springs or something like that. So I'm always getting the two of them confused. Yeah. That's why I'm asking. Yeah. So that'll be on the West Coast.
Yeah. And then the first of the year, sailfish tournament, the Extreme Kayak Sailfish Tournament by Joe Hector. It starts in January. I think it's like around the 13th of January.
Wow. So, when you say that, the first picture that comes to mind, I have this picture of Pam holding a sailfish that is about the size of the boat that she's sitting in with this big grin on her face. Extremely impressive because, you look at what's going on. You see a lady who is holding a fish just barely out of the water, a sailfish at that. And, you see the size of this thing had to be at least 3/4 of the length of her boat that she was in. And the boat is what, like 13 feet, 14 feet?
Yep. My kayak's 13.5.
What do you think that fish weighed? Just estimate.
Oh, jeez. I don't know. I have, they took pictures of it and, they had the mount. I have a mount of it over the fireplace and, the mount, I think weighs 100 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
But, the guy that shot the photo is, one of the photographers for Guy Harvey. And he said it was the biggest sale they'd seen on the Palm Beach area in years.
Wow.
Riscala, we're having a major problem with the inbound Skype.
Okay.
And, as of this time, we are not able to take calls.
All right. So what I can do.
Hang on.
I
Split second here.
might be able to set it up so they can call me here.
I doubt it.
Can we call them?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Here, let me bug out of here for a second.
Okay.
We just keep talking amongst yourselves here and I will.
So anyhow, yesterday fishing, the cold weather didn't really stop the fishing. My girlfriend, who I was going to go fish with, ended up getting 4 or 5 sheep's head. So she had a really nice taco dinner last night, and I slammed out. Slam out means that I got snook, redfish, and trout. Missed a really nice flounder.
Let's see. Robert, are you on the line? No. Okay.
This is the joy of, people don't realize how much goes on in the background when we do one of these shows. It sounds pretty simple when we're on the air. There's not a whole lot going on, but there is a lot going on technically in the background. And I'm very fortunate to have somebody like Captain Hook with me, because I do a show on Saturday nights and I don't have an engineer. And when something like this occurs, I have to shut the whole show down because I don't have anybody that can do the work in the background while someone like me and Pam carry on conversation, and in hopes to keep the attention of the listeners until we can get the problem worked out. So anyway, hopefully we'll work it through. We'll be able to get him on. I can probably have him call me here. The only problem is I don't think he's going to be able to hear you guys. I don't have that part set up yet.
Well, that's not going to help.
Mm-hmm.
Will he be able to hear you?
He would be able to hear me, but I don't think he'd be able to hear you.
We could hear him. That's all that matters.
Yeah, see if you text him and see if he can call you.
What we're going to do here is, okay.
He's still working on it.
We'll see if we can work this out. In the meantime, we were talking about sailfish and little boats, and we have January coming up is a sailfish tournament. Anything after January, as the winter months are approaching us in South Florida, what else is going to happen that you're aware of?
Oh gosh, it's excuse me, sorry. It starts the sailfish season for the big boats over on the East Coast. That's going to start up with wahoo and kingfish also. I know the bass tournaments are now just starting up. They'll be starting in January. I saw that the kayak bass tournaments also start on January and go through the summer. They start early because they're on the bass, because they're looking for fish that are headed, to bedding. And most of the tournaments right now are what we call CPR, catch, photograph, and release, or keep the boats, keep in a live well and bring in live. So these fish are all released back. The days of, killing a ton of fish during a tournament is slowly but surely being done away with.
Great.
Which I like. I like a lot.
I don't like to see, I don't mind harvesting a fish for food, but I don't like to see a fish die needlessly. That's anything for that matter, whether it's a fish or a deer or elk or whatever that might be,
Right.
We have this mentality with some people to just go out and just, do away with something just to be able to say, oh, look what I caught. And there's a lot of ways that you can show people what you caught. We got pictures, people.
Yeah.
There was a man, I talked about the 3M company, and there was we used to sell a wide variety of products. One of them was very special glue, and we sold it, and I can't remember the name of the outfit. It's in my mind. I can see it in my mind. I can't think of the name of it. It was a taxidermist here in South Florida, very well known, Gray, I think it's Gray Taxidermy. We sold them a very special glue in order for them to make their mounts for their fish. And one day I had the opportunity to go visit up there. And once I saw the operation, I asked one of the guys there, I said, why does anybody ever bother bringing back one of these fish when they literally have molds for, you tell them, well, my fish was X amount,
Right.
10 feet long, 5 feet, whatever it is, however many pounds. They got molds that fit that. They don't use the fish.
Right.
So to me, it was like, what a waste. We're killing these fish so that you can mount it above your, somewhere in your house and say, oh, look at this great fish I caught. When you can when the mold what you get, let me back up a minute, what you actually get is from a mold. All they do is take the fish that you got and match it to one of their molds and then make the, whatever you call it, from that mold. So you really don't even need the fish.
Right.
All you do is call them up and go, I want 175 pounds.
Well, the other things you do, you can turn around and we shot pictures of all sides of the fish, so they can actually match the color tones of that fish exactly, because each of those molds is hand spray painted at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's no need to bring the fish in at all. If you have something like you said, like a picture, and particularly a picture from different angles, they can pretty much, match the fish. And the fish gets his life, and you get your trophy.
yeah, I guess spray paint's a bad word. I guess it's airbrushing. I stand corrected out there, everybody.
Airbrushing is more of a professional. What's the word I'm looking for? A professional description. Spray painting is, when I think of spray painting, I think of people who are tagging out there doing, graffiti and stuff like that.
Right. With a can of spray paint, but no, it's very technical.
Yeah, airbrushing is an artiste. Yeah, we have a couple of people who come on every once in a while. I think they do airbrushing.
Good morning.
Jason,
There you go. I think we have Robert now, finally, here. Okay.
Roberto.
Having some phone problems this morning.
A little bit. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
What do you expect? It's Florida. We have to recount, so we have to recall.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, one at a time. Everybody hand count these now. So.
We laugh at it, but it's pretty sad. It really is pretty sad what's going on. So, Robert.
Well, they were talking about how old the machinery is that we've been using, and it's probably time we got some new stuff.
Really? I mean, we are supposed to be the 21st century.
And we're using 26-year-old equipment. So
it seems like it's always Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County.
Always.
And then add Hillsborough in. Just for fun.
Only the counties that I've lived in, I know.
So it's you.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you.
I guess it's over finally, so we don't have to count anymore. But fishing's been great. So weather's been great, and these cold fronts bring lots of fish around. So all that stuff's good, though. So.
Well, what have you heard over at your side? You're up in Fort Myers, right?
No, I'm in Stewart.
Stewart, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the sailfish have returned because of these cold fronts. They're starting to come back, and the dolphin are coming back, and they sort of go back and forth with the warm and cold. So yeah, we've got dolphin back in the area, and they're certainly back in the Keys. Some big ones too, and the groupers seem to move a little further in when the cold fronts come, and mutton snapper bite's been great. So. And the big bull redfish. Oh my God. Somebody sent me a picture of the biggest redfish I've ever seen yesterday from Jacksonville.
Wow.
My goodness.
Carolina has some monster red bulls too, but that's St. John's River.
Well, this one was caught in the inlet there at, St. Augustine. I can't remember the name of it. Ponce Inlet. But huge, just enormous.
Wow.
And he was in a kayak.
He was in a kayak.
We're so guilty.
Thing was damn near the size of his kayak, too. So.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know what comes to mind when they talk to me about kayaks and big fish and kayaks. The first thing I think of is that picture that Pam sent me. My gosh, that thing is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's a good time. I almost think, except for grouper or a fish that's going to sound very quickly on you, I almost think it's easier to catch the bigger fish in the kayak because the fish will tow you along. You don't have to.
Yeah, you get a ride out of it, too.
Exactly. You don't have to sit in one place and have to leverage the fish, you can use a little lighter drag because the fish is using you to be worn out. It's easier to get them in.
Yeah, you're like a big buoy.
Throw on another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only scary part is, like I said, when you get a grouper and you've locked down your drag and it decides to sound quickly on you.
Yeah, and then you go with it. So.
As the Indians would say, you in big trouble.
But it's better than, having a marlin spear you from the back. So.
Oh my gosh. There are reports of barracuda. I think we talked about this once before. Down in the Keys, we've had several reports where barracuda literally lunge out of the water, and one person died.
Whoa.
Yeah, well, somebody sent me a video last week, I think it'll be in this magazine coming up, of a wahoo that just free jumped right into their boat. It was a wahoo chasing something, and it's about a 40 or 50 pound wahoo, and it just dives right into the boat because it was chasing something near the boat and got in their boat instead. So.
Oh my gosh.
Dinner.
And there are reports of sailfish doing that as well.
Now, is that what you call fast food?
Yes, it is. That's instant.
Really
instant
fast food.
Sashimi, yes.
Oh my.
Riscala, real quick, I have a billfish story for you. I was captain on a 53 hat over in Chub Cay, and we were marlin fishing. And, we had a big fighting chair and a whole bit, and we had marlin on. And when they get close to the boat, they get real scared. So we had a buddy that was in the fighting chair, and he's harnessed into the rod and harnessed into the chair. And we got him out of the chair right in the nick of time when the marlin came over the back of the boat and went right through the flying chair. If he'd have been in that chair, went right through the cushion on the fighting chair and stuck himself right through there. I'm telling you, if we didn't get that out of there quick enough, he was dead.
Ooh,
wow.
Scary.
Yep.
Wow.
I've seen a few of those videos with marlin come flying in the boat.
I have too, and it is really scary. I saw one where a shark had jumped into the boat. And you talk about people scattering, and you're limited room.
Yeah, yeah, that'll move some folks. Yeah, so. That'll get some people moving.
You got a shark in the back of the boat, and the thing has gone nuts. It's just running back and forth, flipping back and forth, and if it doesn't nail you with its tail, it'll nail you with its teeth.
There was a video of a yakker who landed a shark kind of backwards, where the tail was at his feet and the mouth was, well, you know how you sit in a kayak. I don't need to say much more. You should have seen him. He almost stood up on his chair. It was pretty funny.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think a shark in a kayak's a good idea.
Nope.
That's all right. I'm not doing that, so.
Nope. I don't play that game.
Nope.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Shark, cut the line.
Exactly. Get as close to the hook as possible and cut the line.
Yep.
Wow.
See you later.
Yeah.
Robert, it was a little late getting you on, but while I'm thinking about it, we were having technical issues, as you're well aware. Is there any new tournaments coming up that you're aware of? We talked briefly about kayak. There's going to be a sailfish kayak tournament. Anything that you can add to that?
All of the sailfish tournaments will be coming up, starting Merritt Island, coming all the way down the coast. If you just check the FWC schedule on those, or the, what is her name? Look up Summer Warren on Facebook. She normally has a whole listing of all the tournaments upcoming. But yeah, all the sailfish tournaments will be coming up. The Stewart Sailfish Tournament is in December. I believe there's 5 or 6 of them coming in December. They will go all the way down the East Coast. So yes, it is sailfish season. December is sailfish season. So.
See, this is what I love about doing this show. I'm always learning, constantly learning. We've had Summer on a couple of times, Summer Warren, but I don't recall, what is the website for Summer? Do you know? Do you remember?
I'm trying to remember the name. Chasing Tails.
That's it. Chasing, and it's Tails,
Chasing Tails. And she will have she normally has the schedule of all the tournaments on her website. So.
Yeah. Tailz like zebra when you look it up. Chasing Tails.
Correct. Yeah. Put a Z on the end, not an S. So
yeah, we'll have her back on in a week or so, and she can tell us a little bit more about it. Anything else you want to run by us, Robert? We're running a little late, but I'm going to kind of go through
just real quick. The new magazine will be out next week. Some great stuff in there. Mike Iaconelli, the Fisher City guy that's on Nat Geo, will be in the magazine, along with the schedule of his shows for next year and some other stuff. We're going to try to get out fishing with him when he's in the area, and lots of good stuff in there. So flfishmag.com. It'll be out sometime next week, and hope you guys have a great week.
Also, Robert, before you go, I want to remind people that if you have a good fish story that you would like to submit, Robert would be more than happy to consider that for you. Or you have some pictures or some videos, he's happy to consider that as well. How do they submit that stuff, Rob?
Just send it all to pages@flfishmag.com.
All right. I appreciate that, Robert. Thank you so very much. I apologize about the technical issues this morning, but I am so grateful that you were able to make it on. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
You guys have a great day and a great week.
God bless. Talk to you soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take just a really quick break here and give Captain Hook a minute there in the background to try to catch up for a moment, and then we'll go on to the next next guest. Ghost, yeah, we're going to have ghosts this morning. We'll have the next guest. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through that technicality. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high-quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard, North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
We can make it turn a half. I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on. When the sun shines out
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a very good morning to you out there. If you're just joining us and you've missed part of the show, we do replay the show at 3 p.m. in the afternoon here on WDBF Radio. And by the way, while I'm thinking about it, if you're one of those who has limited internet availability, you can actually call in and listen to the show. Now, that's only during the live hours of the show. The live hours are Sunday mornings between 8 and 10 a.m. The number you can call is 701-719-9704. You dial that number and you will actually hear the show live as it's occurring. You won't be able to talk to us, but you can listen in. For those who might have phone service, but that for whatever reason they don't have data service wherever they're at, it's an alternative. There's many ways you can listen to us. You can go to WDBFradio.com. You can go to thefishfloridashow.com. You can go to the TuneIn app. We're also available off the TuneIn app. Go to WDBF.FM. Many different ways to listen to us. We're ever so grateful for each of you who take the time and allow us to share with you the mornings, a way for us to kind of come across and introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about what's going on here in Florida, primarily regarding fishing. But I'm going to have a couple of guests on here, and probably in about a week or so, that just came back from doing some hunting, and we'll discuss a little bit about hunting. We did that once or twice in the past. Of course, it's the Fishing Florida Show, so it's mostly about fishing, but we do talk about the outdoors, what's happening outdoors, whether that be fishing, snorkeling, diving, whatever that might be. Hunting is part of that. So we'll have a couple of guests on here probably in about a week or so. We're going to talk about doing a little bit of hunting, what they were hunting with, what they were hunting for, how did it come out, that kind of thing. This morning, I have one of the top female anglers with me, who is always an honor and privilege to have her on with me because she brings such a unique perspective to the table. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's always a pleasure to have you, my friend. And in the background, of course, he doesn't say a whole lot, but he's back there doing the hard work and sweating away, is Captain Hook. Thank you, Captain Hook.
Well, sweating is the word for it this morning.
Are we doing any good on the next guest? Have we been able to get through the next guest?
No, he hasn't called in yet. And so far, everything should work, we hope.
Right. Good. Well, hopefully he'll be calling in just a moment or two, and we'll be able to hear from him. In the meantime, I wanted to bring up the subject of the red tide. I don't like to talk about it a lot because it's not a really nice subject to talk about, but it is reality. And from the reports that I'm getting, it seems to be breaking up. Can you shed any light on that, Pam? You were out there on the water, I think it was yesterday?
Yep, the cold weather's helped a lot, and the winds blowing from the east last week helped a lot too, to push it all out and get it circulated. It's a little worse this year than usual. Well, a lot worse, but it is a natural occurring issue. We've had worse red tides before, and we'll probably continue to have them. But, everything looks really good. Like I said, last weekend I was down in Cape Coral, which is on the west coast, down towards Naples, and the waters were clean, tons of fish. I'm getting reports from Charlotte Harbor, great snook and red fishing there. So, things are picking up. And, along the beach, their kings are starting to be caught here in the, Bay Area off Pinellas. Grouper are still great. So, it looks like it's breaking up and things look good. Come down and visit us.
Hot dog. That's the kind of thing I like to hear. Those of us who have been, quote, in the know, so to speak, that do so much around the water know it got pretty nasty for a while there, and it's such a refreshment to hear people reporting that it's breaking up, that it's getting better. There's plenty of fish out there you can catch. You can still enjoy going out and being on the water, and that peaceful, serenic feeling that you get. It's just to me, I find words are difficult to express and properly describe the feeling for me when I'm out there on the water. And I think other people should kind of share that feeling as well. Got to get out there and do it. And it's so nice. We had the problem on the East Coast too. It wasn't just limited to the West Coast. So I'm getting reports from the East Coast as well. I meant to ask Robert when I had him on the phone, of the same thing. It's breaking up. It's thinning out. There's still plenty of fish to get out there and be caught, and there's still plenty of times to be had that are great times. So whenever you have the opportunity, for me, my family we all love fishing. My mom loved fishing, my dad loved fishing, my brother and I. So it was a family thing, and that's one of the reasons I like doing this show. I try my best to influence people, keep that relationship, because we're under an attack as families here in America, around the world for that matter. Families are slowly going by the wayside, traditional families that we've known all of our lives, those of us who are in my generation. And I think part of that is the breakdown of the relationship in the families. And when you do something together, and for me it was fishing. We did it together, we enjoyed it together, we experienced it together, and as that occurred, the relationships, the bond of the relationships were built up. And we need all the help we can get nowadays. I got to tell you, that's just a personal opinion of mine, but we need all the help we can get for families. That's the country is what the country is because of families, not because of politicians. Certainly not because of them.
Oh Lord!
And when we can find something we can do as a family together, my goodness. You know, I don't think I've ever asked you, Pam, your husband like to fish?
I get that. I get asked that question a lot.
I don't think I've ever asked you that.
That's so funny. My husband has a strong passion for golf. He always has. Mm-hmm. And I always warn people who want to buy a kayak that has 2 seats in it. We kind of call it the Widowmaker. So my husband plays golf, okay, and I fish. I don't get hit with a club, and he doesn't get hit with a paddle. We both get home in the afternoon about the same time, have an adult beverage, watch golf on TV, which means we probably take a little nap, and shower, change, and go to dinner. And we both have interesting stories to tell each other. So no, he's as you know, he's a retired CBS anchor. And so a few times he has gone out on chase boats to get some video of me, but that's the extent of his fishing.
Isn't that, it's just so interesting to me. We have 2 people, and you've been together most of your life, right?
Yeah, we've been married since 79, so yeah.
God bless you. God, congratulations, and God bless you. But here, 2 sides of one coin. Golf and fish. How far apart? More apart. Well, I guess you could, if you're on a golf course, you could find a lake and go.
Yeah, we have. I mean, I love sports. I'm a sports nut. I love football. I tolerate baseball if it's a no-hitter. I hate it because you just sit there. But I ended up being in South Florida. I grew up with, the minor league baseball, but a lot of soccer, gymnastics, basketball. He loves basketball though, but, and horses. So I tended to do those sports, which were totally alien to him. And my daughter was, a beautiful, one of the top riders in the world. She ended up, 10th overall with Morgan horses.
Wow.
So, but there again, my boys played soccer and football, but, it's real interesting. We have opposite sports that we like. He got really mad at me. We went to play golf with my sister and her husband, and we were over in Palm Beach, just, one of the courses over there. And she and I we were all over the course. So finally she made a margarita and I go, we could play polo golf. Oh my gosh. The greatest sport alive is polo golf. Much to my husband's chagrin. He was so upset with us.
I could see you on the golf course with a golf club in one hand, but a fishing rod strapped across your back, waiting to get to the next lake so that you can throw in a lure and see if you can entice one of those bass in there to come up.
Yeah, most of those lakes have gators. I've got lots. Dave's shot home lots of photos of gators going over the green to get from one lake to another.
Big gators. There's one of them, I think he's about 13 or 14 feet long. He's just walking along as nonchalant like, so what? What are you going to do about it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, there's always something exciting going on, that's for sure. And we talk about stark differences. Well, you look at one sport where a man hits a small ball and then chases it around a huge area. And then you look at another sport where a lady goes out in a very small boat into a huge ocean, kind of like a drop in a bucket kind of thing, looking for fish, and ends up catching fish almost as big as the boat that she's in. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we both enjoy our sport. Our kids, I'll be honest, our kids do I'd say 50-50 on golf and fishing. They're, both ways. They'll do both. Danny is an avid golfer. My son is really good. Sounds like we have a call in. Yay. Can you hear us?
Yeah, and it looks like we got Captain Neil on. Neil Holland's on.
I'm here.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Can you hear us, Captain?
I sure can. Is this Lisa?
No, this is Pam.
Hey, Pam. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Did we lose?
Are we live on the? Yeah.
Yes, we are. We are live. How are you doing today?
Doing real well, thank you. I was hoping to call you a few minutes earlier, but we have a family restaurant, and it had a bit of a minor emergency this morning that we needed to tend to, but all is well now. So
oh, good. Everybody's okay.
What's that?
Everybody's okay.
Oh yeah, by all means, yeah. Just having all the food together for the day.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about OceanAid?
Yeah, that's my pleasure. So OceanAid 360 is a St. Petersburg-based marine conservation nonprofit, and we're new on the scene, but we've partnered with the Coastal Conservation Association and Tampa Bay Watch and Florida Zone FWC to organize a 6-event fishing tournament series. It's Tampa Bay's newest tournament series, but instead of fishing for redfish and sea trout, we're weighing in abandoned crab traps, ghost fishing gear, and other forms of marine debris like plastics that one would find during the course of a 4-hour search on one of our tournament days. And we have $25,000 in donated prizes from industry sponsors like PowerPole, TFO Fishing Rods, Barracuda Tackle, Shimano, and Miralure. So many more, too.
That's excellent. Now, can you tell me a little bit about the schedule? You've had one of these tournaments already, correct?
Yeah, we sure have. We had our first event. Our kickoff event was on October 27th, so about 2 weekends ago, at Fort DeSoto Boat Ramp. It was focused on the Fort DeSoto Park and surrounding waters. And we had 37 community volunteers turn out. Those 37 volunteers were aboard 10 different shallow draft fishing vessels. And in the course of the 4-hour search, the volunteers located 25 abandoned blue crab traps, and another 410 pounds of debris floating in the Fort DeSoto watershed.
Excellent. That is great. I know stuff like that. Boats hit them at lower tides when they don't see them. I know I run over a couple before too because they no longer have their floats on them and things like that. They're such a hazard.
Yeah, you're right. And it's kind of interesting, I think that for a lot of us here locally, when we think of abandoned crab traps, we think of it as a issue that could, as an issue for boaters, that might damage our propellers or something like that, or that we'd get tangled up in the line. But in addition to that, the challenge that it presents to boaters, I just want to make sure and mention that these traps, when they're out there in the watershed and they're not being tended by any fishermen, they can actually continue to fish for up to something on average of about 5 years. And they ghost fish, which is where fish or crabs may end up in the trap and they become stuck. They can't get out, and they will deteriorate and die. And they actually serve as bait for the next cycle of fish to swim in and get trapped as well. So it's that's what's referred to as ghost fishing. You may know that, Pam, but
Captain Neal, I apologize. We had some technical issues this morning. We were running a little bit behind, and I've got a hard break I've got to take. I want to thank you for taking the time to call in. I'll have you back on again. I apologize we didn't get to give you enough time this morning, but we'll get back to you again. I want you to be able to share and give you a little more time you'll be able to share. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got to take this break. Please don't go away. It is the Fish Florida Show, and we will be right back.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip. You can find your tide reports, buoy reports, get a fishing license, and even find someone to go fishing with. Plus great products and services from all our media partners. And oh yeah, you can get the Fish Florida Show on the app. Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern here on the WDBF radio networks. So download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip and tune in.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within. Over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit
ignition. And then
nothing. Ha 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 ha. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus.
I apologize.
And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
My vehicle was sent 6 feet in the air in a ball of fire. I thought I was going to die.
It ripped my arm off. It broke my right femur.
I took such a hard blow to the head that my retina was torn apart.
Say a prayer for peace.
I'm Trace Adkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project.
They've reached out to us as a family, and they never forgot about us.
The job of helping thousands of our wounded warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
They helped me basically put my life back together.
If it wasn't for Wounded Warrior Project, I would be a statistic right now. I would have been one of those soldiers who came home and committed suicide.
I'm in the fields of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan.
Your gift today of $19 a month can help us provide the programs and services desperately needed by our wounded service members. Call or go online with a pledge and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket. Make that call now.
Say a prayer for peace. I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on. When the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. Stop fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It has been a challenging morning. When we do live radio, these are some of the things that we run into. We've had technical issues this morning. Some of the people were not able to call in, without having some kind of a problem. But we overcame it. Thank you, Captain Hook. He's back in the background, literally sweating this morning, trying to make everything come together. Thank you, Captain Hook. I appreciate it. I know it has been a real nightmare for you this morning.
It's not fun. But we're good.
We also have Pam Worth. Pam is, for those of you who may not know, Pam is one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida and has proved to be worth her salt. She was just in a tournament in Louisiana, if I remember correctly, and she came out. They even what did they say about you after that was all over?
Yeah, Keith and Lynn were really sweet, and they came out and said basically top lady angler for the state of Florida.
Hot dog. All right. So let me get to my next guest because we're kind of pressed up against time. The reason why I have people like Captain Neil on with us is that his organization works with a wide variety of people to help clean up the environment. Well, the next guest, Lisa's organization does something very similar. I'm going to let her explain it to you. Good morning, Lisa.
Well, good morning. How are you guys?
Great.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Good. Well, congratulations, Pam. What a wonderful tribute to how hard you've worked to make to accomplish what you have. It's very exciting. I'm happy to hear that, and you deserve it. I've said that from the get-go, so I'm very happy for you.
You're sweet. But kudos back to you. Weren't you one of the first lady captains? And really, without you, the rest of us wouldn't have a path to go down.
Wow.
Well, I followed in some pretty big footsteps. Who maybe not were captains, but were definitely lady anglers. And, Captain Marilee Dunn was a captain before me in Bradenton. But I was one of the first few lady captains and one of the first few that started competing back, 20 years ago. And we just have some really great lady anglers today. And I'm very, very thrilled with that. And one of the things, I know you had mentioned the Ghost Trap Rodeo. We're actually participating with them to help our organization, Coastal Conservation Association. And we've implemented some really cool things. If people aren't aware of who our organization is, you should go online. We do have some really great opportunities to get involved. And for people who are looking to make a difference in what's happening to our environment and to our coastlines, really have an opportunity with our organization to put dollars to work where you can actually see things happening. We do habitat restoration. We actually put structure in the water. We do nearshore and offshore reefs. We have several coming up in Lee County. We're working on some in Pasco County, Citrus County. We have over 25 different planned habitat projects that will actually improve the habitat. We're also working with Duke Energy and Mote Marine. And this is one of the most exciting things that I think everyone should know about. I know everyone was so concerned about the devastation of our fisheries in Southwest Florida. Mm-hmm. And we're working with Mote Marine, and I just talked to one of their biologists yesterday, and they have told me that their spawn of snook has been significant and that they have the snook we need in order to release them. We're going to release 10,000 snook over the next 2 years along the west coast of Florida.
That's
10,000 snook.
You have a video on Instagram showing not just the snook, but showing the redfish, and it's amazing.
Oh, yes, and we work very closely with Duke Energy. And with Duke, we're doing something a little different. We're going to be releasing, again, 10,000 juvenile redfish along the southwest coast, but we're also going to be releasing 200 breeder redfish. So we're going to come at that from two different angles. We're going to come at that from youth stock that will grow and become viable, but we're also going to look at putting stock out there that will breed and repopulate. So we're very excited. And this isn't a new program. FWC had been restocking Tampa Bay for years, and it really accomplished a great deal. So we have the scientific data and the ability to know what to do and how to do it, but we won't do it until FWC tells us that the water quality, and when I say water quality, I mean the red tide is gone and won't affect what we're putting in the water.
You know, one of the reasons that I was so impressed, you guys have a tournament, and they have a part of the tournament that I had never heard of before. And anybody who knows anything about me knows that when I do a deal with somebody, I try to do a deal where everybody benefits. Well, this tournament has a category in it, unlike any other tournament, where you could enter this category and you have an option or you have a possibility of winning something. And the category is cleaning up the water. Going out there and picking up trash and bringing it back, and they'll put your name in. I guess it works like a lottery or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it gives you the opportunity to win for doing nothing more than cleaning the water.
So it is the Costa Kick Plastic Trash Division, and we ask that anglers, when they're on the water, fill a 5-gallon bucket full of garbage. They take a picture of it with the official measuring device, and they can submit it through our app. It's the Star Tournament app. You can pick up as many 5-gallon buckets as you wish, as long as I have a picture of them and that you're disposing of them properly. It can be the trash that you've accumulated from the day on the water, as long as you're disposing of it and not allowing it to blow out or allowing it to get into the environment. And what we do is at the end of the competition, we do a drawing for first, second, and third place. And you have the opportunity to win cash, $1,500 from Sunsect Insect Repellent, as well as a pair of Costa sunglasses. Second place is also Costa product. And third place is also Costa sunglasses and product. So you have the opportunity to win just by doing good for the environment. And the Costa Kick Plastic campaign isn't just our trash division. They have done some amazing things. I actually just returned a couple of weeks ago from Guatemala, and there is a lodge over there, Casa Vieja, where they are removing their plastic footprint on the environment by no longer serving single-use water bottles.
Great.
So what they do is they take these big growlers and they fill them full of water, and when you arrive at their facility, at their lodge, they give you your own personal canteen growler that you have your name on, and they have refilling stations. So they have removed in 1 year over 80,000 water bottles that they were putting into the environment. Could you imagine if we as anglers, I know the amount of water bottles that I see people using and buying. Yeah. If we started that in our own lives.
Could you imagine?
I just think that there's so many ways for us just picking up. I walk and I go to the beach, and I carry a mesh bag with me, and I pick up the plastic water bottles, and that is one of the biggest sources of plastic in our coastal environment is water bottles.
Well, again, and this always happens when we're having a good time, the time flies, and I'm up against a break, and I've got to take this break. I want to thank you so much for calling in. I want to have you back on, and it'll probably be in about a week or so. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are up against a hard break. We'll be right back. Please don't go away. It is the Fish Florida Show.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Hey, this is Captain Hook for Statewide Pest Control Services. They've been serving the west coast of Florida since 1987. Statewide does it all. Pest control, termites, lawns, mosquitoes, tent fumigations, etc. This announcement is from their mold division. Since Hurricane Charlie in 2004, all their personnel are certified in mold and moisture control. Their two-step services are guaranteed to get you back in your home quicker and in most cases paid by your insurance company. Give them a call at 877-488-7378. That's Statewide Pest Control Services for all your pest and mold control needs, serving Florida from Pasco to Lee counties. Statewide Pest Control Services, 877-488-7378. 877-488-7378. You're listening to WDBFradio.com, a tune-in station.
WDBFradio.com. 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 I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida where the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So fishing in Florida. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Good morning to you. It's been a challenging morning for us this morning. All kinds of technical issues. But that hasn't stopped us. We're still moving forward. We're still able to get the guests on, even with all of the technical challenges that are happening in the background. Thank you, Captain Hook, for what you do back there. And, of course, this morning I have with me Pam Worth, one of the top female kayak anglers. Thank you, Miss Pam, for being here.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you for the invitation.
Captain Hook, I'm getting Mike is telling me it's silent on his end, so maybe he has a bad connection. Anyway, see what you can do about that.
There we go.
I have you now.
He's got it now. It was probably during a commercial break.
In the meantime, before I forget, I wanted to take just a moment. Captain Neil Holland had asked me to just kind of make an announcement next Saturday, November the 24th, between 10 and 2 a.m. at Warner's Bayou, at the Warner's Bayou boat ramp in Manatee River. They're going to have what they call as the Ghost Trap Rodeo. That's we're going to go out and help clean the waters again. And you can get all the information you need at OceanAid360.org. OceanAid360.org. So if you're interested in that, please go to that website and you can sign up there, and Captain Neil will get with you, and we can go from there. So have you ever been really mad at something your better half, and you instead of saying something nasty to him, you tell him to go fly a kite? Well, my next guest, he took that to the next level. Not only does he fly kites, but he catches fish doing that. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, Riscala, Pam, Captain Hook. How you guys doing?
Great.
We're having a ball here.
We are having all kinds of technical issues this morning, Mike. So if there's a bit of a delay there, I apologize. We'll end up talking over each other. But anyway, let the people know how is it that you catch fish with a kite?
Well, first of all, that was a heck of an introduction. Thanks. So we, the kite fishing came about, literally centuries ago when, I think, some of the indigenous people in some of the islands decided they couldn't really get offshore for whatever conditions were, but they could somehow loft a kite that they've made out of the natural resources and get their bait out there to where the fish were. So, now flash forward to modern times, and some of the kite manufacturers have dialed these kites in to where they literally fly in such a stable way. You launch them from the boat downwind. You can weight them in the corners, turn them right, left, so you can get some separation between them. There are some really adept kite pros that will actually fly 3 kites. So when you start thinking that you could literally fly 3 baits per kite and you have 3 kites up, that's 9 baits that you otherwise wouldn't be fishing if you were doing the typical drift or anchoring. So that's 9 more baits. Well, what was discovered was the action of having a live bait tethered from a clip that hangs from the kite lines. It's on the surface, struggling and creating these, kind of death panic waves, and the predators just can't resist it. So it has really turned me on for about 35 years. I enjoy watching the strike. I enjoy all the technicality of getting this arranged on a boat. And that's pretty much the story as far as what got me into kite fishing.
You brought about something that I found interesting. You can watch the fish hit. It was what you're saying?
Yeah, because the kite kind of acts as a outrigger of sorts on steroids. So really, it's flying away from the boat downwind, and it's sitting in this, fixed position. And there's a series of clips, 1, 2, 3, long, medium, short, and they're release clips just like an outrigger release clip. Mm-hmm. You run your main fishing rod and reel line through that clip from the boat, and on the end of that, the terminal end, is a bait, live bait that is, bridled to a circle hook. In my case, I only use circle hooks for this, on most occasions. And then, you see this on the surface. Those baits are literally on the top of the water, struggling, splashing, trying to gather oxygen, and of course stay away from any predators that come their way.
I think that would have to be pretty exciting to see, like a sailfish come up and try to beat it with its bill, or maybe another predator, mahi-mahi or a dolphin as they refer to, come up and nail it. Most of the time, when I was pulling bait, first of all, I to be honest with you, I think I've told you before, I always thought kite fishing was like really nothing serious. It was like not to make fun of it, but that's just my naiveness, my ignorance towards it. I thought it was kind of like a joke almost. Then I come to meet somebody like Mike, and the sophistication, the technology behind it has come, it's so far beyond, it's like the idea of thinking about it initially would be like thinking about cavemen. How far have we come since the times that we were cavemen? Is how far kite fishing has come. Extremely useful and beneficial when you learn how to do it. And it's not just going out there and flying a kite. You have Mike, am I incorrect that some people actually have a special rod dedicated to the kite itself?
That's pretty much that's standard operating procedure. And as you said, from here's a different kind of analogy. Back when I started, it was just a regular bottom rod. I really wasn't thinking about having a short little rod that maybe is only 2 feet long from butt to tip. Mm-hmm. This was a regular rod that we weren't using for bottom fishing, and we'd fly the kite from that. Well, as time has evolved and they've become more sophisticated, these rods can be quite expensive. They can have adjust-a-butts on them, the Winthrop adjust-a-butts. They can have electric reels that are as expensive as $2,000 a piece on them. Wow. Graduated braid that every 75 feet is a stop that's whipped on with floss to stop the clips from coming down any further, yet still allowing the forward clips, the long and the medium clip, to pass. The floss passes through those. It's a crazy little thing. And then, of course, some of these rods are Winthrop tips, which are $100 tips. So you can spend quite a bit on this little 2-foot rod and the reel, and all to get a little bit more quick, because again, time and speed and efficiency usually relates to more releases or more catches. So when fishing a tournament, we try to be very, very quick and efficient. So as you can imagine, there's no reason to be trying to reach up or using a gaff or pulling a rod out of the holder to grab the kite line. We simply have it right there at our fingertips now with a very short rod.
Wow.
Miss Pam? Sorry for that long explanation.
That's all right.
Well,
are you there, Miss Pam? I think you have a question.
Well, no, I'm excited about it. It's, I have to be honest, it's beyond me. It's kind of like fly fishing. But I like the idea, and I've watched, some of the tournament boats that you can bring these fish in a lot faster also, as you were saying, which I know, especially for the sailfish, that you release those. And I like the fact, it's a little off subject, but I noticed that you had said you use circle hooks. Why do you do that?
Well, I'm a believer in circle hooks. I've become a believer since probably, 18 years ago when a tournament I like to fish called the Silver Sailfish Derby, they started to experiment with it. The Billfish Foundation suggested and created an award for any anglers or tournament teams that wanted to try circle hooks. They've been used around the world, but, really not in my area, Palm Beach. So they started in 2000 using circle hooks, and I jumped right on board. We really had nothing to lose at that point. Well, over time we've discovered that not only is it very environmentally friendly, or let's say resource friendly, those hooks, when fished correctly, will 95% of the time grab the corner of the jaw of the fish, creating no internal damage, no gill damage, no damage to the mouth. The fish just basically grabs the corner. With that, you can use lighter leader because those fish, you can imagine now, if you're not hooked inside the mouth and that leader is chafing on the grinders or the raspers of the fish, it's not creating stress on the line. So that was like a bonus. So now we were getting more bites because we could go from what used to be 60-pound leader to the bait to now 30-pound. It's amazing, so this stuff is literally invisible, and that's why I love them. And the other thing is the hookup ratio. When they're properly fished and you don't try to set the hook, you just point the rod tip at the fish. In my case, I try to put the rod tip low in the water and just start to tension up the drag as that fish is running away. You can get very close to 90-95% hookup ratio when things are right.
Excellent.
So I love them.
Excellent. Yeah, I know on our tournaments, kayak tournaments, we follow the general guidelines, and we can only, if it's a sailfish tournament, only use no steel leaders and circle hooks only. So that was a great explanation of why you use them. Plus, I think they're easier to use in a bridle also.
Oh, I think so too. You're right. Less back hooking. That if people don't know what back hooking is, once that hook doubles back into the bait, if you hooked it through the nose or wherever you hook it, it doubles back into the flesh of the bait, and the barb is hidden. You could feed that fish to your target species forever, and it still won't hook them. So yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, good points.
Mike, I think Pam is waiting for the day that you introduce a kayak kite.
Oh, it's there. Bobby fishes.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, Bobby fishes them.
My gosh, I was making that up. They have kites for kayaks?
It's no joke. It's no joke. I think I told Pam in another episode that I would recommend a Boston big game kite for kayak fishermen because literally they roll up. They don't have to be assembled. They pop up open. It's kind of like one of those pop-up tents.
Mm-hmm.
They just pop open. They roll up into a little ball, very small, and you could soak them, dunk them in the water, shake them off, and they fly immediately after that. It's just such a cool little kite. If I were in a kayak, that's exactly what I would use.
I can see her out there with a kite, but instead of kite fishing, she's going to have the kite pulling the kayak around, getting the freebie.
Yeah, that's beyond me. The first person I ever saw use a rod and reel with a kite was my brother about 100 years ago when he brought out his rod and reel to go fly kites because he was tired of wrapping it around a ball.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. So we have tournament season coming up, Mike, and I know that you are involved in quite a few of them. Are you anything right away that you're going to be involved in with regards to a tournament?
A couple of my friends put on a little, it's not the Dust 'em Off tournament, but they have a name for it. It's right around the Christmas holiday. And the idea of that tournament, a little bit early in the season, is to dust off your tackle. That's the time that most fishermen break their kites out, is during that sailfish run.
Mm-hmm.
So it's end of November to end of March. That's the first one I'll fish, and that's just a shakeout tournament. Get the cobwebs off everything that we haven't used all year and test our equipment, test our skills, and of course the more time you spend on the water and tournaments and getting the team ready. But the real big tournament I love to fish every year is the Silver Sailfish Derby. That's the first weekend of July, or first weekend of January, out of West Palm Beach Fishing Club. That's their premier event. And then there's a series of tournaments all after that. Big money tournaments, and there's too many to list. But there's practically one every weekend if you want to travel for them, and I'll try to fish as many as I can.
Well, I'll be looking forward to you reporting back and telling me how they're going. I know from speaking with you previously that it's almost like a domino, one after another coming up here as we approach the new year.
Absolutely. And it's this is our season, so we may not get snow, but we get those occasional cold fronts. And when they rip through, that usually turns on the fish, It's hard to predict the exact day before or after the fronts come through, or even the day of. But generally speaking, when there's a good brisk cold front, the fish come to the surface, and it's exciting time to catch the sailfish, particularly.
Wow. Well, Mike, again, I'm up against a break, and I've got to take a break. But before I go, if anybody wants to find out more about what you do, Mike, how do they do that?
It's easy. On Facebook, it's Kite Fishing Experts dash Mike Simcoe, and my website is kitefishing.com. Pretty easy to remember.
Mike, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you on. I so appreciate you taking the time to call in, sharing with the listeners the information that we have. We've got to take a break, and we'll be right back. Please don't go away. It is the Fish Florida Show. Good morning, everybody.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip. You can find your tide reports, buoy reports, get a fishing license, and even find someone to go fishing with. Plus great products and services from all our media partners. And oh yeah, you can get the Fish Florida Show on the app. Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern here on the WDBF radio networks. So download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip and tune in.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit
ignition. And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
My vehicle was sent 6 feet in the air in a ball of fire. I thought I was going to die.
It ripped my arm off. It broke my right femur.
I took such a hard blow to the head that my retina was torn apart.
Say a prayer for peace.
I'm Trace Atkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project.
They've reached out to us as a family, and they never forgot about us.
The job of helping thousands of our wounded warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
They helped me basically put my life back together.
If it wasn't for Wounded Warrior Project, I would be a statistic right now. I would have been one of those soldiers who came home and committed suicide.
I'm in the fields of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan.
Your gift today of $19 a month can help us provide the programs and services desperately needed by our wounded service members. Call or go online with a pledge and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket. Make that call now.
Say a prayer for peace.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a good morning to you. If you're just joining in, you've missed out on quite a bit of information this morning, a big challenge, if you will. And if you want to hear that, you can. You have that opportunity to do that. Several ways you can do that. You can tune back in to WDBFradio.com at 3 p.m. and we replay the show at that time. Or if you find yourself unable to sleep at about 4 o'clock in the morning, you can find a show being replayed as well. If you miss both of those, you can always go to the archives. We do have archives set up. You can find them at the fishfloridashow.com. You can also find them on YouTube, Fish Florida Show on YouTube. And any of the information that we have is always archived. So anything that you miss, you can always go back and watch or listen to again. This morning I have Pam Wart. She's one of the top female kayak anglers, and it's always a pleasure to have her with me. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir. Thank you again for the invite.
Always a pleasure. And in the background back there, working feverishly this morning because of all the technical issues that are happening, is the Captain Hook. He's back there just kind of sweating away, earning his keep this morning, if you will.
He's Mr. Nimble Fingers.
Yeah, working 3 computers here.
That's called multitasking. And that's kind of what we do when we go fishing, isn't it? We multitask. Well, I know I did. There were times when have you done a lot of trolling, Pam? Yeah. I know you like the kayak thing, but have you been out on boats and just been trolling?
Yeah, I do troll in the kayak, especially if I'm going offshore. Yes, absolutely. Oh, wow. We'll troll lures and live baits.
Oh, wow. Well, in my experience, when we would troll, it would get boring after a while, especially after about 15 or 20 minutes and nothing's going on. So, in my day, we didn't have, all the technology we had today, but I did have a small, believe it or not, a small battery operated television. So that would kind of distract me until something would happen. It would be, in my experience of trolling, it's really, really, really boring because there's nothing. You're just driving along, pulling the bait, it's jumping in and out of the water, nothing really going on. You go from really, really boring to, oh my goodness, all you know what breaks loose. And particularly if it's a school of dolphin, if you're catching a bull or a big cow, they follow these big fish back in towards the boat, and then it's just pure pandemonium. So you go from boredom to oh my gosh, there's not enough time to do anything.
Yes. Some of the ways around that, I think that's funny that you brought the TV. I was going to a horse show. Remember I told you we did horses way back when, and I brought a TV in the back of the van for the kids. And the stations, obviously, as you travel, would go in and out.
Right.
One of the kids came up, kind of wiggled his way up to the front seat and said, "Miss Pam, why don't you have cable TV?"
Oh my, yeah. And I had this little battery operated television. It was way ahead of its time. I mean, this is going back, when dinosaurs walked the earth, if you listen to my kids. This is going back quite a ways, back in the late 70s this was. A little battery operated TV, worked on, I think it was 8 D-sized batteries. The screen, I think, was 4 or 5, little black and white, little 4 or 5 inch screen on there. But that's what was my distraction during that boring time of waiting for something to happen. If we were bottom fishing, it was a completely different story. I was on top of the line, the whole time I was there. But when we were pulling, this was some of the ways that I kind of kept myself distracted. I couldn't imagine today, with all the technology that we got, knowing some of the people that I know, they would get bored, get on some kind of piece of technology, get so into it, a game or something, the fish would be on the line, and they probably wouldn't even realize it at that point.
Yeah. Hey, I was at a fishing seminar last week. Mike Anderson, who's on TV, invited C.A. Richards, who's probably the top artificial angler and teacher that there is out there, at least for his era. But anyhow, long story short, they came across and chatted quickly about the ban on redfish and snook from Pasco County all the way down to the tip of Tampa. A third of the room did not know it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring that back up for any of our Florida listeners who do fish the West Coast, that basically from Pasco County down to the end of Naples is you can still catch redfish and snook, but please handle them carefully, and they must be released no matter the size.
And something that I learned, and I think it was from you if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was Robert, snook are really susceptible to the way that you bring them out of the water, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Explain that.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures, people who hold a snook up like you do a bass, that is a great way to break their jaw. They have a very, very, fine jawbone there because they don't chomp a bait. They kind of suck it in and swallow it. So if you hold them like a bass, especially the weight, you can break the jaw without even knowing it, especially if they wiggle to try to get off. Plus, especially if you have a big girl, they're used to sitting on the bottom, literally. They're a fish that doesn't have to move. They can sit right on the bottom and wait for something to come by. Well, if you're holding them up again by the jaw, you're putting all that weight on internal organs. So support the belly. Be a nice guy. Support the belly. Make sure that fish gets back in the water safely.
So you want to handle the fish in a horizontal position whenever possible.
Correct.
And not doing that, you could possibly harm the fish to the point where, yeah, you might have caught it and yeah, you put it back in the water, but that doesn't mean it's going to live because you've caused internal damage if you're not careful with these fish. Is that true for the redfish as well? Same thing?
No, I still, on a big redfish, support it by the belly, but they're more of their jaw is used for crushing. So they have a lot stronger jawbone in there. So, I've seen them held up, but any fish, even if it's a bass, I think more and more the bass guys are getting away from just hanging the fish there off your thumb. Mm-hmm. It's not good, especially if you're not harvesting it. If you're going to harvest it, then however you want to do it, do it. But if this is a fish that's going back in the water, take care of it.
And while we're on the subject of catching and releasing, we had this discussion a couple of times back, and again, this was something that I learned I wasn't even aware of. Circle hooks. Mm-hmm. The purpose of a circle hook, the intention of a circle hook is what?
Is to when the line tightens, the circle hook gets caught in the corner of the mouth of the fish, where the fish is not totally inhaling it, where you gut hook it, a J hook, or you gill hook it. It's going to come and roll and hit the side of the mouth. That's why I asked him to explain why he had circle hooks on.
Yeah. And the odds of catching a fish with a circle hook harming the fish are very minimal, correct?
That's true. In Florida, at least on the West Coast, if you're targeting, the word is targeting, reef species, you must use a circle hook.
Now say that again.
If you're targeting a reef species, you must use a circle hook. And basically, grouper are going to hook themselves. They're going to take off and hook themselves. And especially if you're fishing that deep, a J hook, you need to quote unquote set the hook. Like you see the bass guys go wham. Right. You have to set a J hook. A circle hook, you don't. You just tighten the line and it will set itself.
And reef species are, of course, you mentioned grouper, snapper.
Yep, your snappers. Anything that you see, your hogfish, anything that you see down there. That if you're drop, what do they call it? Deep drop fishing, you're targeting a reef species. Now, if you're on the top and you're looking for AJs and you're using a J hook, that's one thing. But if you put the lead on and you're dropping to the bottom, you're targeting a reef species.
And it should be, and the circle hook literally looks like a circle, or like a C, like a letter C almost.
Yeah, it's kind of like a letter C, and it has a tip pointed back toward itself, toward the what do you call that? The chase, Captain Hook, the main part of the hook. It doesn't point up; it points back in.
Right, the shank.
The shank. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't think that word to save my life.
I just happen to have a pack of them I'm looking at right here.
Yeah.
So again, this is the purpose of this hook is to allow people to fish, have the enjoyment of fishing, catch the fish, but then be able to release the fish, knowing that the odds are in the fish's favor that you haven't hurt the fish to the point where it can't heal itself and continue on.
Right, especially, slot fish. If you're getting grouper or something like that has to be a particular size, there's a good chance, like the gag grouper, that you're going to catch what we call a lot of shorts that didn't make the limit. They weren't big enough. And you need to release them. And you want to release them in its healthy state as you possibly can.
Yeah. And I know from experience, and I got to tell you, I really wasn't aware about the circle hook thing until you mentioned to me, because I certainly didn't remember in my days of fishing circle hooks. But I'm somebody who just fished for fun. But in my experience with some of these reef fish, particularly grouper and snapper too, they swallow the hook, they get gut hooked. So even if you're supposed to release this fish, it's going to die. So you've really done an injustice to them and an unfairness to the fish, knowing that you're fishing and I'm not talking about the West Coast where you're required to have a circle hook. I'm talking about other places. And growing up, if you were planning on catching it and it's too small, you got to let it go. Well, if it's gut hooked, what are you going to do? The fish is going to end up dying anyway. So circle hooks are a way to be able to enjoy the fishing, catch the fish, and then know that when you release the fish, the odds of harming that fish are extremely minimal, and the fish can go on and heal itself and, still go on with life.
Yeah, I know a lot of inshore captains now that use live bait are using the circle hook also. Captain James Bierce, I know that he uses a real light circle hook on reds and snook and trout.
Yeah, I've got to try that sometime. But see, most of the time when I go fishing, I want whatever I catch, I want to eat.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I'm a cheater. I don't know if it's called cheating, but I use the J hook, just a regular old J hook.
Your hookups ratio on the circle hook are just going to be just as good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would think that it would be harder with this. I'm just envisioning what this thing looks like in my mind, and having to point back towards the shaft of the hook, where in a J hook the point is literally in the open. So you would think that's not going to work very good.
Yeah, I'm going to send you a picture of it so you can see it. It works very well.
Oh, I'm convinced. While I'm thinking about it, the one that keeps coming to mind, the picture that keeps coming to mind, was that with a circle hook, the one where you're holding the fish?
Yep, the sailfish, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. So that was with a circle hook. And do they have, again, this is my ignorance towards this. I take it they have different, like in J hooks, they have a number 2, number 4, whatever. Mm-hmm. Same thing along with circle hooks?
Absolutely. Same sizing.
Wow.
And strength sizes. You can get, just normal 1X, 2X, 4X. So depending on what you're going after. Like I don't use the same, if I'm using live bait for some reason for, redfish and snook, I may use the same size circle hook that I do for sailfish, but my sailfish is going to be a lot stronger.
Yeah, that is an impressive picture. I know I've mentioned that many times, but it is a very impressive picture of this lady holding this fish just about as big as the boat that she's in, with a big smile on her face. Just lends a lot to the credibility of, does this person know what they're doing? I think so.
I know.
I don't know.
It was funny though. I think I've told you the story on my first sailfish. The chase boat was there and they wanted to take that photo. And, they said, grab its bill. Well, I'm so gullible. I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay, they're pranking me. They're totally pranking me. What do you mean grab its bill? It's like a sword at the side of the side of your kayak. But, I got the confidence and just grabbed it and then got the shot. So, yeah. My
goodness.
It was a good time.
Excellent shot. And if you want to see what I'm talking about, it's on the on my Facebook page. You can go to the Facebook Fish Floater Show on Facebook, and you can see a picture of Pam there holding this beautiful fish, right up against the kayak. And if you take a look at the size of the head of this thing, it gets you a pretty good idea how big this fish is. Anyway, we are coming up to a break, so we'll go ahead and take the break, and we'll be right back. Don't go away. It is the Fish Florida Show this morning.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high-quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskalla Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riskalla Stevens.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's the last segment of the show. Good morning to you. If you're just joining us, you have missed out on a tremendous technical challenge that we have had this morning, but we have overcome. This morning I have with me Pam Wirtz. She's one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida. Good morning, Ms. Pam.
Good morning, sir.
And the technical challenge that is being assaulted by Captain Hook. He's back there in the background trying to take care of everything for me. Good morning, Captain Hook.
Good morning, good morning. Only about one more segment here, and it's beer time.
After the stress that you went through this morning, I can imagine. So hopefully we'll have Jeff Goldberg is the next guest that's supposed to be calling in. He should be calling in just a moment or two. We're going to talk a little bit about what Jeff does. He has a website that has has a variety of, well, we've been talking about hardware. Hooks are just one of many thousands of things that he does, but we'll talk a little bit about that as well when he shows up. While I'm thinking about it, you can always find the archives for the show on YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel there, Fish Floater Show. You can always find the archives on our website, fishfloatershow.com. Anything that you miss, you can always go back and listen to. Show is replayed at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It's also replayed at 4 a.m. During the live segment of the show, thanks to the L&M Radio Network, you can actually call if you're having a problem with internet connection. You can actually make a phone call, and the number is 701-719-9704, and you can listen to the show. You won't be able to speak with us, but you can actually listen to the show for those of you who are, let's put it this way, data challenged. Oh, well, all right. So let's, have we got the next guest on there, Captain Hook, or we're still waiting?
Yes, we do. Jeff Goldberg just joined us.
Good morning, Jeff, and thank you for calling in.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, my friend. We have been talking this morning about one of many things, but something that's come up a little bit was circle hooks, hardware, physical hardware when we go fishing. And I know that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that that's one of the many thousands of items that you handle. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have, well, circle hooks are a big thing, and there's lots of different brands, and they all work. But yeah, we have over 45,000 different items available for sale. Circle hooks being one of them. just a couple, just a couple of items. And the items are all, if I'm not mistaken, the items are fish307.com? That's correct. That's correct.
So you can go to fish307.com. You can see what we're talking about there. How is it up there, Jeff? I heard that you had a little bit of ice.
We have, the other day we got 8 inches of snow, which is beautiful. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but I'm very excited about that because snow falling on the open water helps ice things up quicker, and then we just need some cold weather. Some of the smaller lakes and ponds in the Adirondack Mountains up here in northern New York are frozen, and there's people that have started ice fishing, which is a really good thing. Ice fishing being one of the biggest seasons of the year for us. Which I know sounds crazy down there in Florida, but you all ice fish too. Every time you go into a bar, there's ice in your drink. Fish it out.
I like that one. I like that one.
We have our own version of ice fishing.
That's
here.
right. Guilty.
That's right. So we're just starting to come into the season, which we're very excited about. There's all kinds of new products on the market for that business as well as every other part of fishing. And it's a segment that is, obviously in the northern zones of the country, mostly through New York and the New England states, and then out into the Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and North Dakota are really the hub of the ice fishing world. That's where all the stuff is developed mostly. And it's going to be an exciting year. Hopefully we have some good ice, although because of what's been going on the earth, we haven't had as much ice as we used to, but it's still good. So that's what's happening right now up here.
Describe to me, if you were going to go out and you're going to go ice fishing, I see these videos of people that have like a post hole digger, I think is what it's called. Is that what you use?
Well, they're called an auger. If you use a power auger, it is the same piece of equipment that you'd use to dig a post hole, except for the bit is different. The power head is the same, but the bit is different, has a different type of blade on it. And yes, we use power augers. Most power augers, amazingly enough, today are not fueled by fossil fuel. We have gasoline, propane, and now the electrics, which over the last 3 years have really taken the market over.
That's
90% plus of the market now, were the gas augers, which were the standard from the mid 1960s up until 2015 was the standard, and now everything's lithium ion, which is quieter, lighter, simpler.
That's very interesting.
You don't have to worry about ethanol gasoline and leakage, because as on a boat, which is very important, I'll give you a little story about this. If you have, say, especially an outboard boat, an older one, where you have to pump the ball, you go and you fill your tanks with fuel, and you pump your ball, or you get a little gas on your hands from pumping the gas in, and then you go and you do your hooks without doing a good wash in your hands. You just fouled everything that you have, and you don't catch any fish that day. And you scratch your head and not understand why. It's a pretty common thing. Well, when you're ice fishing, if you have an ice auger, you're constantly pulling that auger over, and a lot of times they don't work perfectly, and you play with the choke, whatever, you get a little gas on your hands, and you don't catch fish. So the electric augers are really, really a good, really big improvement in that world. So it's good. The other thing we do, we have lots of hand augers, where you actually take a big drill bit on a handle and you cut the hole by hand.
Wow.
And, that works really well too. Yeah.
I guess they didn't have any choice back in the old days before they had all this stuff. They had to do it that way.
Well, I have a 6-inch hand auger that I've owned for 35 years that I still use to cut most of my holes with.
Oh my goodness.
So 6-inch being the size of the hole.
That's the size of the hole. Because I like to fish for perch. When occasionally you'll wind up hooking into a northern pike or a lake trout or a salmon, and you can most of the time get those through a 6-inch hole. The guys that are mostly fishing for lakers and pike, they and with a power auger, most of the time you're using an 8-inch hole. And some people actually like a 10-inch hole, which I think is unsafe, but because your foot will fit in that, so you can't always, if you cut an 8-inch hole, and that night you get a little bit of skim, and a little bit of coverage, and you can't see the hole. You're walking across the lake, and your foot goes into an 8-inch hole. It won't go into
Never thought of that.
I mean, a 10-inch hole. It won't go into an 8-inch hole. So I don't like 10-inch holes, but they are legal, and people have 10-inch augers. So.
Good news.
Yeah, go ahead, Spam. I can feel you. You have questions.
Oh, not about ice fishing, except how you stay warm when you ice fish. I mean, I was freezing, and I told you 46
that's a
degrees.
Really, really good question, and I get that often from people down south. and I'm going to put it to you really simply. You guys fish, and you have technical gear for the fishing that you do on your boat. So you have the newer style shirts that breathe, and the water will get on them and they dry quickly. You have hats with Gore-Tex or whatever, so you can sweat out, but yet the sun doesn't penetrate. You wear sunscreen, so that's all technical wear. So for ice fishing, or like if you play tennis, you have a $100 pair of sneakers, or if you run, you have a $100 pair of running shoes. It's all technical wear. So for ice fishing, we sell a brand of suit called Striker Ice, which is very warm, lightweight, and they float. So I can go out in 20 below weather and be perfectly warm. They have boots, and you put wool socks on, and no kidding, you're warm. So it's like anything else. There's equipment available to make you comfortable, and it's and you can go out and be warm. So for say $300, you can have yourself outfitted out. You will be warm. You won't get frostbitten or anything else, and you can stand in a 20-mile-an-hour wind at 20 below zero and be comfortable. That sounds crazy, but it's true.
In a thermos full of bourbon.
Well,
that's optional.
If that's optional, yes, absolutely. My thermos has hot chocolate in it, but bourbon will work.
That's an internal heater. That's what that is. It's called an internal heat source.
Actually, there's a new bourbon on the market that I really like called Angel's Envy, and that stuff. I'd definitely put that in my flask.
In your hot cocoa.
I wish I knew about these things when I was in the Air Force, spending time at Larry Air Base in Denver, Colorado, when it was late May, I believe it was, still snow flurrying, and this Florida boy was freezing his behind off. There was nothing I could do to get warm. I wish I had known about that back then.
Well, a lot of, like anything else, a lot of technical gear that's on the market is relatively new. It's all, the last 10 to 15 years or less. And technology has been jumping by leaps and bounds at a rate that's unbelievable. It's just like a fishing rod, okay? So 20 years ago, if I told you that I had a bass specific or a rod specifically made for reds, you'd tell me I was crazy. But 15 years ago, all the rod specific gear started coming out. Now you have a fishing rod for every different species of fish that you fish for.
Yep, I think the bass guys started that. They have a rod for each lure.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You have crankbait rods and spinnerbait rods. So there's specific rods for everything now. So everything is technical and lasered into specific things. Well, the same thing is available now in the ice fishing world or in all fishing, and it's all just about the fact that technology has brought us to a place where we're getting more and more and more refined in what we're doing, which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to have it go out, be simple, and not have to worry about, geez, do I have the right rod for the lure? It's like, so what? Just put a hook on there and throw it out. Enjoy yourself.
Exactly.
I think sometimes we lose sight of that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question about winterizing your gear. Now, you're an expert at trolling motor repair. If you're up north and you're putting your boat away, if you haven't got that done yet, do you have just a couple tips on engines or whatever that you should do to store your boat over the winter if you're not going to use it?
Absolutely. Well, you can't use it because, everything freezes. So, winterizing a boat, you're going to use non-toxic antifreeze through all your cooling jackets, and you run stuff through, make sure that your impeller is cleared, and on your big engine, make sure that you do that, and you change your oil and get it all put together the way you're supposed to. As far as your trolling motor is concerned, there's not much to do to your trolling motor, assuming it's in good shape. But what I recommend that my customers do is take the prop off, make sure that there's no fishing line behind the prop, so there's nothing stuck. There's no water that's inside your seals, and then you just put that back on. And then I recommend take your batteries out, put them into a warmer place, and put a battery tender on them. Mm-hmm. Batteries, it'll save your battery, and that's pretty much it for the trolling motor. And the other thing about the trolling motor is this is the time of year, if you're up here, you're not using your stuff, to bring it to a repair center or do your repairs, because as in all mechanical things, the week before you want to go is not the time, because everybody else wants to bring it the week before also, so the shops get all backed up. So we recommend that if you have an issue with your motor now and you know about it, don't wait until the spring to fix it. Send it in or bring it in or repair it now. Yeah. That way, when you're ready to go, you're ready to go.
Same thing for your reels. Turn around and get them. This is a great time to get them serviced. Make sure they're all nice and ready for when you're going to bring them out again in the spring.
That's right. For those people up north here, if they're going to go fishing down in Florida, they want their stuff in good shape when they get there during the winter. They take a few weeks off, and visit you folks down there, as I will.
Oh.
Hey, when is that going to happen?
I'll probably be there sometime in February. My folks actually live very close to you, and so I go down there and visit for a week or two in February every winter.
Well, I'll be looking for you in February, my friend, and I want to thank you for taking the time to call in. Again, we're running out of time. The show is just about done. It is Jeff Goldberg, www.fish307.com. You can find all the information there. Jeff, thank you. Wish you a wonderful day, what's left of it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Fish Florida Show. We'll be back in a week.